For the third time in franchise history, the Dallas Mavericks have a chance to build a championship-level juggernaut around a generational talent. The first time around, they were able to successfully do that with Dirk Nowitzki, though the second time around, the organization came up short and failed with Luka Doncic. Now the question is, can the Mavs actually get things right and win at the highest level by building around Cooper Flagg? Well, on paper, it was possible that the Mavs could have been a force with the roster they've had entering this season, but then Flagg, AD, and Kyrie didn't even get a chance to suit up for a single minute on the floor together. Though, right at the trade deadline, the Mavs decided to trade Davis, and by moving him, Dallas finally acknowledged that this is now Cooper Flagg's team through and through. Well, sure, Flagg can only do so much to abate the pain and trauma from the Doncic trade for a lot of reasons, but even as the Mavs are currently below 500 and are near the bottom of the NBA in terms of offensive efficiency, the presence of Flagg should give Mavs fans a lot of reasons to believe that better days are about to come, sooner rather than later. As Cooper Flagg, at just 19 years old, is already currently averaging 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, together with 1.2 steals and 0.8 blocks per game, all on 56% true shooting. This makes Flagg one of only 5 rookies in NBA history to average at least 18, 6, and 4 with at least a 55% true shooting clip, alongside all-time greats Oscar Robertson, Kareem, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. Crazy thing is, none of those other guys posted those numbers as a teenager, unlike what Flagg is currently doing. In addition, in NBA history, the only rookies to score as much, as efficiently, and with as high as a usage rate than Flagg has this season, meaning averaging at least 18 points and 55% true shooting with at least a 20% usage, were Victor Wembanyama 2 years ago and Cat a decade ago, and the last 2 rookies to do it before them were Shaquille O'Neal and Tim Duncan. Well, landing among such all-time elite offensive company is already impressive enough, but then, Flagg reaching that level on a Dallas Mavericks team nearly stripped down of high-level complementary talent capable of deflecting defensive attention away from him is downright exceptional. Also, no other first-year player this season has looked as historically elite as Flagg's been. This season, Flagg has already become the youngest player in history since Michael Jordan to put up at least 30 points and at least 5 rebounds in 4 consecutive games. He's already a bucket, but is definitely more than that, as among all first-year players, Flagg's the only one to rank within the top 3 of points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks per game. Basically, Cooper Flagg's ceiling appears to be simple. He could be the NBA's ultimate 5-tool player who blends athleticism, scoring, playmaking, rebounding, and defense at elite levels. But here's the crazy thing, most NBA scouts considered Cooper Flagg the best prospect from the 2025 draft class, mostly because of his all-around impact. However, there were a ton of skepticism towards his ability to be a primary scorer, especially early in his NBA career. But right as he entered the league, during the first month of the season, Flagg has already proven the doubters wrong, as he became the second highest scoring 18-year-old ever, averaging 18.8 points per game, only behind LeBron James, who actually averaged 20.2 points per game at age 18. Well, just weeks into his NBA career, with a ton of injuries in the Mavs roster, Flagg has been thrown straight into the fire and has gotten a crash course at doing just nearly everything there is on the floor when Jason Kidd played him at point guard during his first 7 NBA games, wherein as a lead guard, a position he's never played before, Flagg obviously struggled, averaging just 13 points and just 50% true shooting. But since then, Flagg has moved back to his natural forward position, and playing more alongside real point guard Ryan Nembhard, as well as reserve ball handler Brandon Williams, has just allowed Flagg to settle into the flow of the offense more, as over his last 42 games, Flagg's averaged 21.5 points on solid 56.7 true shooting. And while playing back at the wing has reduced Flagg's responsibility in terms of bringing the ball up the floor and initiating offensive sets, it doesn't actually mean Flagg's getting spoon-fed by his guards, as he's still definitely shouldering a massive burden when it comes to generating his own scoring chances, as 56.8% of Flagg's field goals this season have still been self-created. For context, only 11 other players this season have created for themselves that often while having at least the same usage rate as Flagg, and the list includes players such as Shea, James Harden, Luka Doncic, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Edwards, and Kawhi Leonard. Basically, a list of all-star level players and number 1 or number 2 scoring options. What's more impressive is, Cooper Flagg often generates scoring looks for himself the hard way, by lowering his head and shoulder before bulldozing his way into the paint on the way to a rim attack, a push shot, or even a short mid-range jumper. And even as a rookie, Flagg's driving game is already at an all-star level. He's not just leading all rookies in drives per game, but Flagg already ranks 28th in drives league-wide. And it's crazy that, despite the Mavs' poor floor spacing, Flagg has already been able to total the 7th most field goals made out of drives this season, only behind All-Stars Jaylen Brown, SGA, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, and Cade Cunningham, which again is phenomenal company for a teenager. Shots inside the painted area are the most valuable looks in basketball, and only the best scorers can both effectively penetrate that zone while converting their attempts. But thanks to Flagg's elite combination of size, handle, speed, and touch around the rim, he can already do both. One thing that contributes to Flagg's efficiency as a driver is that for a right-handed player, his adeptness in terms of driving with his left hand has been so elite, which the numbers actually support, as Flagg has opted to use his non-dominant left hand on nearly 63% of his drives, and still has produced more than 1 point per possession while shooting a solid 52% on those left-handed attacks. We don't usually see younger players show that kind of comfort attacking with their offhand, but Flagg's definitely already on a different level as an on-ball driver. And while his ability to steamroll downhill to create for himself is already impressive, I think one other area of growth for Flagg worth watching is his ability to facilitate while handling the ball in the two-man game. Including possessions where he passes to a teammate who shoots, Flagg's pick and rolls are producing .95 points per possession. Well, sure, that's not a particularly exceptional number in itself, as it's just about league average, but if you come to think of it, for a 19-year-old rookie who's also immediately stepped into a primary shot creation role, producing league average marks as a pick and roll ball handler is actually impressive. Plus, it's worth noting that Flagg's pick-and-roll creation has gotten better as the season went on. Since the turn of the calendar year, Dallas has scored 1.06 points per possession out of Flagg's pick-and-rolls, a mark which would rank between what Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown are generating out of the two-man game this season. Well, the playmaking reads that Cooper Flagg makes are rarely flashy, but the court vision is definitely there, and as it gets more mature, it will just continue to produce good looks either for himself or for a teammate after help defenders lean too far in Flagg's direction. Here, you can see Flagg running a ball screen action with Daniel Gafford. As Gafford's defender decides to blitz Flagg, the Mavs now have a 4-on-3 advantage as the corner defender is forced to cover Gafford in the paint. Flagg identifies this, and even when trapped, his court vision allows him to find an angle as he makes the bullet entry pass to Gafford, who gets an easy finish at the basket. This time, Flagg uses the ball screen from Caleb Martin to get a switch on the smaller Bruce Brown. Flagg attacks, and you can see his paint gravity just force Valanciunas on the slight help. This opens up Gafford in the dunker spot, prompting Flagg to set him up with a beautiful lob pass. Learning how to effectively function as an on-ball facilitator through all that kind of pressure, especially for a young player, definitely takes a lot of time and reps, which is why you just gotta appreciate what Flagg is able to accomplish, especially considering the Mavs are shooting just 39.7% off his passes, including a dismal 30.6% on three-point looks off his potential dimes. And that's on top of Dallas ranking only 27th in the entire NBA in terms of three-point attempts and three-point efficiency, as well as overall offensive efficiency. Which is why it's easy to imagine a future wherein rosters built around Cooper Flagg prioritizes perimeter shooting, while looking to leverage the way Flagg's size and skill enables him to penetrate right into the heart of the defense, by surrounding him with floor spacers who are capable of converting off his drive and kicks. For now though, it is obvious that Flagg is being asked to do a little bit too much, and that is something that pops out when looking at his jump shooting. Flagg is currently shooting just 33.5% outside the paint and just 30.4% from the three-point line, including a surprising 28% on supposedly easier catch-and-shoot attempts from deep. But then to me, this is something that's not really concerning. Flagg's mechanics are solid, and those are the same shooting mechanics that powered his stellar shooting in college. And history might actually be repeating itself. While at Duke, Flagg's shooting has greatly improved after his 18th birthday, and something has similarly happened at the NBA, as since December 21st, Flagg has actually knocked down an efficient 39% of his three-point shots on almost 4 attempts per game. Plus, the early struggles from deep don't really affect Flagg's long-term trajectory, as NBA history provides proof that young volume scorers, even the most elite, rarely achieve efficient numbers early on. Looking at it, 19-year-old rookie Kevin Durant struggled in Seattle, only shooting 29% from deep and only 46% from two-point range. Meanwhile, rookie LeBron also converted just 29% of his three-point attempts and just 44% of his two-pointers. Also, when Kobe Bryant finally became a starter in his third season at 20 years old, he only shot 27% from deep and 49% from two-point range. So, given that context, you can even argue that Cooper Flagg is looking like the superior rookie early on, as he's already converting 30% of his three-pointers and more notably, already 53.6% of his two-point attempts. But aside from what he already brings on the offensive end, Flagg's defense has also been as good as advertised. The defensive end of the floor is somewhere Flagg's really been consistent all season long, as night in and night out, he's effectively combined his vertical athleticism with his 6'9" frame and 7-foot wingspan to constantly act as a solid help-side shot blocker. And in transition, the guy also never gives up on plays and has repeatedly made some solid chase-down blocks. He also reads passing lanes exceptionally well, allowing him to disrupt plays with his long arms. Well, sure, quicker guards still get past him, but then a lot of times, Flagg is still able to bait those quicker players into blowing by him before he uses length and timing to erase their shot at the basket at the last second. Overall, Cooper Flagg has just basically close to zero holes in his game, which should make building a capable two-way roster around him much easier for the Dallas Mavericks. After the Anthony Davis trade to the Wizards, the Mavs have effectively turned Luka Doncic into Max Christie, a 2026 late first-round pick from OKC, a 2030 top 20 protected Warriors pick, a Lakers 2029 first-rounder, as well as 3 other future second-round picks. Sure, it's an underwhelming return for Luka Doncic, one of the greatest offensive players in NBA history, but Mavs fans should ultimately feel a sense of relief after trading AD. Davis is owed $58.5 million next season and holds a $62.8 million player option the season after. The Mavs were never going to move forward with that kind of money on their books, but now they've actually let him go. Now, Dallas, who had a 16-38 record without Davis on the floor, should have no problem securing a high pick in this year's draft, with a team now currently having the 7th worst record in the entire NBA, giving them a 31.9% chance at a top 4 pick if the season ended today. This is something notable since finding Cooper Flagg a running mate will be crucial for Dallas this year, since they owe their 2027 first-round pick to Charlotte, their 2028 first-rounder is also owed to a pick swap with OKC, and their 2029 first-round pick is also headed to either Brooklyn or Houston. The good news is, Dallas can go into next season with a core of Flagg, Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively, Max Christie, Naji Marshall, together with whoever they select with their first-round pick this year. That is a potentially fun core that isn't so old and isn't that expensive to hinder the roster building efforts around Cooper Flagg. Well, make no mistake, the path forward to building a sustainable winner around Cooper Flagg will still require the Mavs to place some bets, the same way they did while building around Luka Doncic. But at least, Dallas now has another generational talent on the roster, and they now appear to have picked the right route moving forward and aren't focused on a confusing timeline anymore. But how long would it actually take the Dallas Mavericks to build a championship roster around Cooper Flagg? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this has been Real Balls, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.